Good morning and selamat pagi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Voice of the Markets Indonesia Industry 4.0 Forum. My name is Jane and I'm pleased to be your host today. This forum is brought to you by Constella Exhibitions, the organizer of the region's premier Industry 4.0 event platform, Industrial Transformation Asia Pacific, or ITAP in short. The platform is designed to support the regional manufacturing industries and businesses in their digitalization and digital transformation journeys. Today's Industry 4.0 Forum is part of a series of country-focused events and is designed to highlight key Industry 4.0 initiatives in Indonesia, promote understanding of the issues facing manufacturing businesses in the electronics and electrical, food, medtech, and pharmaceutical manufacturing sectors, as well as potential opportunities for collaboration in these sectors. By now, we are all familiar with the impact of COVID-19 on global travel, with borders closed and business travel grinding to a halt. We all had to find new ways to build and strengthen relationships across borders. With our series of at ITAP happening on 22nd to 24th November 2021. To start off with today's forum, please join me in welcoming Mr. James Gray, Executive Director of Constella Exhibitions, to give his opening remarks. James, please.
Thank you, Jane. Selamat pagi dan selamat datang Bapak dan Ibu-Ibu. Ini benar-benar baik untuk melihat anda semua. Silakan saya akan melanjutkan dalam bahasa Inggeris. Good morning and thank you everyone for tuning in. Bapak Eko Chayanto, Director General, Ministry of Industry, Indonesia, Alpesh Patel, Partner, Mackenzie, and all esteemed speakers, thank you for joining us today. Let me start by stating that COVID-19 has been a part of our lives for more than a year now. And we have to find new ways to engage you for our ITAP roadshows in a new virtual format like this. Today, our spotlight is on Indonesia. Notwithstanding the economic impact of the pandemic, the manufacturing sector in Indonesia is expecting a 4% growth this year, which would mark a turnaround from its lowest performance in 2020. Now, you may ask, what does this mean to us? But let's hear from the speakers on this later on. From my perspective, it is encouraging to see how Indonesia is building on a positive momentum by pressing ahead with its Making Indonesia 4.0 master plan. To get there, all of us need to deepen our partnership across industry players within Indonesia and in the region to enhance the manufacturing sector competitiveness and work together, helping one another transform the sector through our respective countries' industry transformation roadmaps. Now, the purpose of my colleagues and I as a B2B trade exhibition organizer is to create meaningful event platform and touch points to help industry players like you connect with one another in the regional marketplace. We want you to succeed in your business growth in good times and in difficult times like this. The point is, we are here to support you as you find innovative ways to transform your business operations and create new opportunities. Today's virtual roadshow, I hope you will acquire new learnings, build new relationships and connections, and I look forward to welcoming you to Singapore on 23rd of November 2021 at ITAP 2021 Hybrid Edition. You did not hear me wrongly. It will be a physical exhibition, okay? So finally, I just want to thank you all our supporting partners, association, Ministry of Industry Indonesia, and Enterprise Singapore, and everyone for making today's session possible. Terima kasih. Over to you, Jane.
Thank you so much, James. Please join me now in welcoming Bapak Eko Chayanto, Director General of Industrial Resilience, Regional and International Industrial Access at the Ministry of Industry Indonesia, who will give his opening remarks. Bapak Eko, please.
Thank you, Jane. Pak James Boy, Executive Director, Counselor Director of Singex Spares Holdings, the for the events partner and leader from Digital Capability Center Asia Pacific, McKinsey & Company, Pak Alves Patel, distinguished speakers and guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning for everybody. First of all, I would like to thank to Singex Exhibition and the organizing committee of the Industrial Transformation Asia Pacific, the ITF, for inviting me to these occasions. It has been a great pleasure for me to greet you all today. I'm also very grateful that this forum allowed me to meet with friends and colleagues from important and prominent stakeholders. I hope that all of us are in good health. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that we are entering into the fourth industrial revolution shaped by advanced technologies which encourage innovation at a speed and scale unparalleled in human history. This kind of technologies have been affecting and reshaping the way we live, the way we work, and the way we relate to one another. Digitalization and its impact are inevitable in various things such as business, economy, state, society, and individuals. In this area, all the stakeholders from the public and private sectors to academics and also the general public needs to respond promptly. At country level, Indonesia has to keep up with global industrial development. Today, the world faces unprecedented global health and socio-economic crisis triggered by the pandemic of COVID-19. Technology and digitalization are very crucial to resolve the problem which are occurring due to this pandemic, particularly in the pharmacy and medical equipment sector. The Ministry of Industry has encouraged the implementation of Industry 4.0 from 2018. We start with the assessment to the Indonesia Industrial Readiness Index, or INDI 4.0, and it has been carried out with the participation of hundreds of domestic industry to measure the level of readiness for the application of Industry 4.0. We know the situation, we know the level now, and we are now also given the National Lighthouse 4.0 award to several companies with INDI 4.0. It similarly with the World Economic Forum choose several companies as part of global lighthouse network in international level. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia economy continues to offer vast potential economic growth. Political stability, large young population, and growing middle class, as well as abundant natural resources. In addition, investment has a significant multiplier effect in boosting economic growth, creating job opportunities, and shifting the current consumption-based economy to an economic driven by productions. Reaping the benefit of demographic bonus by 2030, we aims to become part of the 10 largest economies in the world. So we need to restore the next export position to the same level in year 2000, which is 10% net export of our GDP. Then we need reach 2 times productivity gains against the cost to increase production by managing costs, and 2% of R&D spending on GDP by building local innovation capabilities. As part of the Indonesian economic transformation, the pandemic prompted us to regulatory reforms through the omnibus law or on job creations. It aims for a better business environment, reducing red tape, improving ease of doing businesses, ensuring sustainable practices and upholding workers' rights. In terms of the investment, we now have opened about 1,700 businesses field without requirement, and about 2,050 priority sectors will be given fiscal or non-fiscal incentive. The law also established the sovereign wealth fund to facilitate infrastructure investment. Ladies and gentlemen, as a potential economic driver, it's necessary to enhance 4.0 capabilities by developing human resources. Therefore, our ministry has been providing industrial transformation manager training, such as technical guidance for the industrial transformation manager 4.0, which proposes for transformation managers in companies, technical advice for 4.0 industrial engineers and assistant for industrial transformation for 4.0 for companies. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Industrial Revolution 4.0 can undoubtedly be a big hope and challenge for the industry in Indonesia, especially in the environmental sustainability sector. In the 10 national practice of Making Indonesia 4.0, one of them mentioned accommodation of sustainability standard, which show a commitment to implementing Making Indonesia 4.0 on sustainability issues, including the circular economy and green economy. Our ministry commits that all industry will later apply all sustainable industry standard, the development of the national manufacturing industry prioritize sustainability principle. The industry will provide long-term benefit. It even consider the implementation a new system that future needs. Efforts are made, for example, through environment conservation and the use of clean technology, biochemistry, and renewable energy. As you know, the recent participation in Hannover Messe 2021 is an excellent opportunity for Indonesia to realize its industrial vision and introduce the Making Indonesia 4.0 roadmap to the world. As the official partner country of the first digital edition of Hannover Messe, Indonesia could reap the benefit of benchmarking Industry 4.0 capabilities and target some potential investment to Indonesia. Furthermore, as we may already know, Indonesia will hold the G20 presidency in 2022. This forum represents the world's economy, where joining countries dominate 85% of the world's GDP. The big theme of the presidency is recover together, recover stronger. It shows the hopefulness and readiness of Indonesia to participate in global partnership of Indonesia to overcome the impact of the pandemic. Economic recovery after the pandemic of the COVID-19 focus in 4 pillars. The first is boosting productivity. The second, increasing economic resilience and stability. The third is ensuring an inclusive and sustainable economic growth. And the fourth is empowering environment and partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been quite a challenge to maintain industrial performance due to the impact of the current pandemic. However, we are optimistic that our effort will contribute to national and global economic recovery. Through this forum, I hope we could share and develop ideas for industrial transformation. Have an excellent discussion for everyone here. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
I pass it back to Jane.
Terima kasih, Bapak Eko, for a very encouraging message. Next, let's welcome Mr. Alpesh Patel, Partner and Leader for Digital Capability Centers Asia Pacific at McKinsey & Company, who will share with us perspectives on the challenges and opportunities of accelerating Industry 4.0 in the new normal, and how businesses can find support for their transformation journeys. Alpesh, please.
Thank you very much, Jane, and good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. Hello, James. Hello, Pak Eko. Great opening and very pleased to have the opening remarks underlining the importance of Industry 4.0. What I'm going to do today as part of sharing a little bit of the knowledge that we have developed over the years in our digital capability centers in Asia Pacific and more broadly worldwide around Industry 4.0. And if we move to the next page, I really have 3 points, 3 messages that I will try to outline in the next 15 minutes. Number 1, Industry 4.0 was mentioned for the first time 10 years ago at Hannover Messe if you go back to the previous page, at Hannover Messe in 2011. So the main question is going to be, is it still relevant today, right? We just faced the COVID crisis. Is it still going to be relevant? Second, I'll talk about the challenges and success stories on how to adopt Industry 4.0. And then third, how can companies be supported in their transformation journey, in particular in Indonesia, and some of the key initiatives that have been taken, in particular as part of the Making Indonesia 4.0 that Pa Eko has mentioned earlier. Let's get going in the first one and the relevance of Industry 4.0. Everyone has already highlighted that the COVID crisis has put all the businesses under an unprecedented stress. And the same applies to manufacturers. One of our surveys highlighted that 56% of manufacturers worldwide felt constrained by the lack of advance of their digitization program when the COVID-19 crisis hit. So had they been more advanced, they probably feel that they would have been able to weather the storm a little bit better, which basically would mean maybe pivot some of their areas of supply or deliveries, or be able to handle the shortage of labor and the need to reconfigure manufacturing lines at short notice that were created by the sanitary crisis. Now that we are over a year since the start of the crisis and are starting to see, at least in some regions of the world, a semblance of return to a new normal, we can really see that these challenges have created the need of a great reset among industrials. And this great reset really includes 4 key elements. The first one is basically the need for manufacturing companies to increase even more their agility and customer centricity. This was already the case before the COVID-19 crisis. It has been accelerated and it's not going to go away. Companies will need to keep recognizing faster shifting consumer preferences and therefore be able to adjust their manufacturing processes in a much more flexible way than what was possible before. And going to a batch size one and going to reconfigurable manufacturing lines is going to be very critical in dependent on the sector in order to be able to pivot. The second element will not come to a surprise to anyone. We were all here last year when there were shortages and where companies were facing huge challenges that have really outlined the need to increase supply chain resilience. And it's no longer a necessity to weather the crisis, but companies have also seen that supply chain resilience can be used as a key competitive advantage in order to weather subsequent crises. We know that COVID is here to stay for a while. There might be resurgences. There is a need to be able to plan the supply chain in such a way that shocks can be absorbed. And we see companies going towards more regional supply chains, as well as securing the relevant sources of inventories, doubling down as needed. And that is just going to stay. The third element is around speed and productivity. It's not a surprise, but there again, it has been accelerated. While this was the core focus of companies before the COVID crisis, the crisis itself has outlined the need to be able to do more, sometimes with less people because of constraint. It's particular in countries where workers are coming from across the border, or countries that are facing restriction of movement within the country, within regions. There is a need to be able to do more while catering to the limitations in terms of labor availability. And then the final one is eco-efficiency and sustainability. And this is, again, not a fashion, pushed by customer requirements, consumer requirements in key economies, and which are really stemming from the need to the awareness of the urgency on climate and other questions, existential questions for our planet. you can start seeing that shareholders in some of the big companies are taking a very proactive stance on sustainability. And as a result, some of the flagship brands are starting to put very, very clear measures when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, when it comes to origin of raw materials, or when it comes to the use of certain pollutants in manufacturing processes. And that means for any supplier that they will need to adapt, and they will need to make their own supply chain and manufacturing processes more eco-efficient. So these are 4 shifts, and they are really durable. The implication of that is that if you're an OEM, or if you are working in an industry where you can differentiate yourself with product, more innovation will be needed. If you are not in such industry, you will need to anyway innovate on your processes. Therefore, for everyone, the Industry 4.0 transformation is something that's not going to be slowed down, but is going to be accelerated and even more important as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. Let's move on to define Industry 4.0. I think as you are in this conference, most of you are aware of what it is. On the next page, we characterize it by 4 foundational technologies. One key element, though, to be very much aware of is that those technologies are evolving. The family are the same. You need data, computing power, and connectivity to be able to capture information from your manufacturing line, from your products, or potentially from the individuals that are working in the production environment. You need analytics and intelligence to make sense of all that data and generate in the fastest possible way the insights that can give you a competitive advantage, either by making operational efficiency, uncovering operational efficiency opportunities, or uncovering customer behaviors, customer demand that allow you to pivot your manufacturing processes. You need automation, which basically makes it easier to remove decision processes, automate decision processes where needed, so that you can recalibrate and redeploy people thinking where it's really needed to get a competitive advantage. And finally, you need advanced engineering, because many of the manufacturing processes can be made more efficient with the use of specific technology. That's presented this since the last 5 years, hasn't changed. But what is changing and what you need to be aware of is that those technologies, what is inside, is going to evolve, and we need to stay up to speed with what is coming next. We've published around 10 days ago a paper around 10 key technologies that are going to come in the next decade. They are fall into these 4 categories. If I think about connectivity and data, 5G, cloud and edge technology are coming now. Quantum computing is something that will come over the decade and will have the opportunity to change again completely the amount of computing power that companies can have at their disposal. On analytics, artificial intelligence is already coming and being deployed in manufacturing plants to do predictive maintenance or the quality management. Software 2.0, self-coding algorithms are going to come in order to make the maintenance of those algorithms much quicker. On human-machine interaction, RPA is going to really come. RPA, robotic process automation, is really going to come much deeper at the interface between product development and manufacturing. And then on advanced engineering, nanoparticles and clean tech, i.e. carbon storage, battery technology, is going to be more embedded as manufacturers need to be able to clean and satisfy the eco-efficiency trend that I've mentioned earlier. So these technologies, families are going to stay, but the name of the technologies are going to evolve over the next 10 years. And it is important to stay abreast of it and see how you can apply them along the value chain, all the way from customer order, supply management, procurement, the manufacturing process itself, and then the distribution. If we move on to the next page, and we're aligned about the definitions of Industry 4.0, I just want to highlight quickly that Industry 4.0, of course, has been used already, and we know that it can help companies improve their performance, no matter their maturity. So companies can be even non-lean, and they can go jump straight to implement Industry 4.0 and lean together. It doesn't matter their size. In Singapore, the Industry 4.0 Human Capital Initiative is a program that involves 300 SMEs that are successfully adopting Industry 4.0. In Saudi Arabia, a completely different geography, the NIDLIP NPP program does the same with around 40 SMEs. So it's possible for small companies to do it. And the type of impact you can have can be significant and achieve some of the objectives that Pa Eko has mentioned are critical for the country, the doubling of productivity and so on and so forth. If we move on to the next page, the one example, and again, Pa Eko mentioned pharma as one of the key sectors of focus in Indonesia. This page represents a couple of examples of applications of the 4 technologies to really improve the end-to-end process along the value chain. I won't spend too much time. I have 15 minutes overall, but you can see there is automation, such as automation of the routine lab tasks. There is digitization of the whole process with a digital twin that is used to run the whole production scheduling or simulations, the in silico experiments. You have augmented reality that is used to support process management by the operators, the digital SOPs, and so on and so forth. Right, the technologies can really be applied to gain significant operational improvement along the value chain, and at the end, what that results in is faster time to market. And in times of COVID, that could mean faster time to market at scale for vaccines, for instance. So I've shown a little bit the realm of the possible for Industry 4.0. There is one key element, though, on the next page, is that it will require a huge amount of reskilling, right? We show the futuristic technologies, but it is at the end, manufacturing process remain very much a human-centric process. And what that means for Indonesia in particular, a study highlighted that by 2030, 6 to 29 million people that are currently in the workforce will need to be reskilled in order to be able to leverage this Industry 4.0 opportunity, keep their job and actually improve their job, become better off with the adoption of Industry 4.0. So it's not something that works against the people, it works for the people and for the workers, but it's important that reskilling is taking place. Let's move on to the second question on the next page, right? What is the state of adoption of Industry 4.0 and what are the success stories? If we start with the challenges, some data on page number 10 highlights, we run a survey on a yearly basis, and we've run it also during the COVID crisis. Actually, the bad news about the survey is that it doesn't really change year after year after year. We see that companies are interested to implement Industry 4.0, but we still see that around between 20 and 30%, last year was 26%, are stuck into what we call 26% actually successful, are able to implement the use cases either within their 4 walls or across many locations, but around 70 to 80%, last year was 74%, are at the bottom of this chart. They basically either are not able to get started or do some ad hoc trials or are stuck into what we call a pilot trap, which basically means they implement a technology on the shop floor. It can be a digital performance dashboard. It can be advanced analytics for quality in one particular SKU, but they fail to scale this up. The pilot might be successful, but they fail to scale this up. And this pilot trap remains a core issue. Year after year after year, we don't see an improvement as more companies actually come into trying their luck. They still get stuck into this pilot trap and fail to scale. Now, are there success stories? And are there, what are the reasons for the pilot trap first to take place? Let's go to the next page. If we think about Industry 4.0 as a journey, it typically starts from building awareness in the organization, running your pilots, and then planning for the overall implementation across your plants and across plants if you operate several plants in the country or around the world, then scaling this up and finally putting in place the relevant mechanism and governance to sustain the transformation and come with the new ideas. And when you look at the challenges, there are actually challenges at each step of this journey and across 3 dimensions: on the business side, on the technology side, and on the organization side. On the business side, it always comes, if I summarize this, it's really about identifying the value at stake, where and taking really a business approach rather than a technology-backed approach. So where is the value of applying Industry 4.0, and then who can help me? Who is the vendor on the technology side that can help me doing it in a cost-effective way? And on the organization side, unsurprisingly, it's around capabilities, and it's around organization governance. So how can I get my departments to work together rather than in silo? Because it's a sports game between IT, HR, and operations. And how do I get the relevant capabilities built so that the people are supportive, the front line is supportive, rather than working against the transformation, right? So these are the various pain points. Now, are there success stories? The good news is yes. If we go to the next page, a study by the World Economic Forum that we've done with them over the years shows that it is possible to transform. Over the years, we've evaluated over 1,000 sites worldwide. Out of these 1,000 sites, 69 have been certified by the World Economic Forum as quote-unquote lighthouses, which mean that they have successfully implemented Industry 4.0 at scale within one site or across plants or even across suppliers, what we call horizontal integration. And the good news is that you can see that Industry 4.0 has been implemented both in advanced economies, but as well as in more emerging economies. And two of the lighthouses are located in Indonesia. One is Schneider Electric in Batam, multinational company, and the other one is actually an Indonesian company, Petrosi, located in Kalimantan. So it shows that this is possible, irrespective of the type of company that we are looking for, and irrespective of the type of sectors we are looking for. So what is the recipe that those companies have adopted? If we go to the next page, it's really tackling the three challenges that I've showed earlier in a holistic way. And so we always say that an Industry 4.0 is not one transformation, but it's three transformation. It's a transformation on the business side, it's a transformation of the technology side, and it's a transformation of your organization. If you do only one of those three, invariably you will fall in the pilot trap. If you start with technology, you'll have a wonderful stack, but zero impact. And at some point, the board will lose patience and will cut the budget. If you start with business only, at some point, you will fail to scale the technology stack and you will not be able to apply the use cases across your plant. And people might turn against it. If you forget organization, you might end up in a case where that I've seen in Europe, where operators had turned the digital dashboards against the wall because they didn't want to be spied by the management, right? So you really need to tackle all three together. And that means on the business side, take a value backwards approach. So identify on product design, procurement, supply chain, manufacturing, where is the biggest value at stake and what are the digital use cases that can then be mapped against that potential opportunity in order to design your roadmap. And on manufacturing, it will typically boil down to, can you increase labor productivity to produce more? Can you increase equipment productivity? Can you improve planning, supply demand matching to actually be able to better react to the market? Or can you improve your inventory management? If you do, and then the fifth is quality. If you improve one or several of those, you typically will be able to achieve impact. And the point is understanding which is important to you and then which digital lever you apply. On the technology side, it's important to think to speed. You need to start quick. So you need to think about practical solutions that you can quickly deploy on the shop floor to show impact. But at the same time, you need to think long-term and slow. How are these solutions going to integrate in a wider Industry 4.0 stack that has to be modular? Which partner are you going to need in the technology ecosystem? And how are you going to create an agile way of developing the various Industry 4.0 apps that can come very quickly on the shop floor, get feedback from your operators, and then iterate to make it really tailored to what they need and encourage the adoption. And then on the organization side, it needs to be championed from the top. This is not run by IT. This is run by the BOD or the CEOs. You need to build capabilities. So for some companies like Tata Steel in India, they've created a whole Industry 4.0 academy and trained over 1,000 people from the top management to the front line with different types of training based on the needs of the individuals. And then it's important to have a very rigorous transformation office that tracks initiatives one by one and really ruthlessly look at, is the impact being achieved? If not, let's learn fast, fail fast, and move on. And if it has been achieved, how do you scale? That's really what you need. Now that we talked about the recipe, let me go to the final part, which is what is happening. How can we accelerate in Indonesia? Moving 2 pages down, in what we have seen in many countries, is basically countries have used digital capability centers to help their companies accelerate the Industry 4.0 journey, each time with different focus. Singapore, for instance, has prioritized applied research and development with the Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Center that serves big companies and small companies around product process innovation with Industry 4.0 and really looking at what can be TRL 6 to 9 innovation. In the US, the Manufacturing and Design MXD Center is focusing on adoption. And then in Turkey, the MEX, the Metal Association, has launched a new center that really focuses on capability building and has targeted to train over 30,000 people in the automotive sector, supplier sectors on using Industry 4.0. So if we translate this back to Indonesia on the next page, the Ministry of Industry, as part of making Indonesia 4.0, has decided to set up a network of digital capability centers with really 5 key objectives. The country is big and has needs on many, many dimensions. Number one, increase the awareness of Industry 4.0 with showcases of the realm of the possible. Second, building the capabilities like in Turkey of the front line as well as of the top management to make sure that they know how to navigate the transformation. Number 3, the ecosystem, making sure that technology providers are match made with the companies. Many of them have mentioned to us that they feel that there are a lack of technology providers in Indonesia and that they would be keen to be linked up. Finally, implementation support and innovation also as part of the mission. And if we go to the next page, Pak Eko's background that you have seen earlier is highlighting PD 4.0, which will be the flagship center of Permata Hijau, that will be built by the end of this year. This flagship center will effectively be showcasing for automotive and F&B what the realm of the possible looks like and feature many building modules, capability building modules, an ecosystem of over 100 partners, and delivery and innovation. And as of today, a satellite already has been set up by STMI Polytechnic in Jakarta. So for companies that want to get started and work with digital capability centers, it is actually possible to do so in STMI Jakarta. Let me then close on the final page with a few remarks. The first one is Industry 4.0 is real. It's not going away. It's been there for 10 years. But it can have a significant impact, and we are just, I think, at the start of the journey. We know that the implementation remains a challenge. 74% of companies in 2020 were still stuck in the pilot trap, but success is possible with the lighthouses showing year after year that companies are doing it right, including Schneider and Petrosi in Indonesia. What those companies are really doing is this triple transformation around business, technology, and organization. And the DTTs that the Ministry of Industry is setting up in Indonesia can help companies understand better the triple transformation and get started on their journey. Thank you very much, and over to you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Alpesh, for the great insights. Before we proceed to the next session, we have a short video on some of the exciting highlights you can expect to see at the upcoming Industrial Transformation Asia Pacific 2021 event this November. We hope you are inspired by what has been shared so far and are ready for our next session. We will now hear from our speakers who will be led in conversation by Mr. Carlos Caro, leader of McKinsey & Company's Digital Capability Center in Indonesia and Client Development Advisor. Please join me in welcoming Pak Yuda Agus Tribasuki, Head of Manufacturing at PT Kalbe Morinaga, and Pak Jujanto, Associate General Manager of Business Development at PT Hartono Istana Technology, Polytron, Indonesia. Over to you, Carlos.
Good morning. Thank you, Jen. Thank you for the opportunity. Good morning, Pak Yuda, Pak Jugianto. It's a great honor to have you on the show. Morning, everyone. I think it's been a very great morning. A lot of insights already been shared, especially the last, opening remarks by Alpesh, right? There are, durable shift, the great reset. And I think, we would like to take this opportunity from both of you because, both of your companies already secured the indi certifications or, last year in 2019, both of your companies already gone through the whole transformations for the industry 4.0s, right? I think the key questions here that I would like probably ask, and you can share with the audience as well in terms of what have been the experience overall for you, specifically from the value drivers, the value at stakes, the key priorities that you actually, managed to be able to get it, convinced within the organizations, and perhaps some things that you can say, what will be the key important aspects for that? Let's start with Pak Yuda, if you may. Thanks.
Thank you, Pak Carlos. Actually, as you mentioned before, that the key factor, I think, is the people. I think you must realize that the people is the most important part of this transformation. So it means that this kind of technology or 4.0 for transformation is not about to eliminate their work, just they can expand the productivity, they can expand the capability, so can they work more productive and more value to company. And then with the new thinking and the new way of working, I think this will be bring a lot of advantage to company, and maybe this can also drive the new value of the business. I think so.
Yeah, thank you. Pak Jugianto, if you may, please.
Addition to Pak Yuda just mentioned just now, our transformation is mostly on the culture. So because as you know that our factory is located on the central of Java. Central of Java is the culture is very, 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 very nice people, and then they are engage each other nicely. So transformation into 4.0 industry 4.0. It's give us a bit a challenge to upgrade their understanding about this structure, because we need to transfer on our business side, on our technology side, and our management as well. So we take three of these changes into like parallel action. So it's a bit hard for us to do that at a simultaneously, continuously. But the takeaway from this transformation is our organization is growing and become better day by day.
Sure. I think the leading questions to both of you, why people first? I mean, you already mentioned, so if you can elaborate more, because a lot of companies now, because the industry 4.0, let's focus on technology. Let's focus on or invest in the much tangible, and you can see the real impact. But you can reflect from the remarks. A lot of companies that gone through this, they're stuck in the pilot trap, and then because they're investing in technology, much more of the sexier things to do, right? I mean, like why people first? I mean, that's because that's the long process, right? I mean, to our belief.
Yes, correct. Okay, it's okay. From my point of sight, in Polytron, because we need to engage our manpower first, because that's where everything comes from. Yeah. So right now we have 13,000 headcount in Kudus and Semarang. So it means we need to upgrade them first. And for the management, I think it's a bit easy because our management is like well-proofed during, let's say, 40 years already, 45 years already. We are established in Indonesia, so our management is solid and ready to ensure the changes smooth as possible. And for technology, I think it's become the most easiest because either we bought from other supplier, or we develop by ourselves, or we need to collaborate with other third party. So I think it's the manpower and the culture is the most that we put in front to be transformed first.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Pak Jugianto. So you need to know and you need to define the right technology for you, I think, because this era that even in the pandemic will be accelerate that we need speed, we need agility, and we need toughness to face this kind of era, yeah, with high uncertainty. So I think we need a resource that can do very tough and can do many changing, because I think technology, for my opinion, is very fast, can changing every time. What you implement today may be not relevant for the next day or next time. So you need to change also the technology that relevant for you.
Sure.
But the people, you must train them, you must make them as a digital champion to face this kind of condition. So, and then they can also can facing every time about disruption and many changing. So I think technology is not the objective. Technology is just an enabler and accelerator. Yes, of course you need them, but you can find technology that's suitable for you. So the cost is not so much because you can gain many impact from the right technology.
Thank you, Pak. Let me change gear a bit in terms of the questions that are very, very interesting, especially during this pandemic period, right? The
Yes.
durable shifts. One thing that really to highlight it was the supply chain. I mean, both Kalbe, Morinaga and also Polytron have, great products, market penetrations that are really, really important. How does the industry 4.0 journey, the transformation journey that you're going to impact contributions towards the supply chains at this point in time? I mean, and also probably specific questions to Pak Jugianto, it's with regards to the news about the shortage of integrated circuits, right? How does it impact right now? I mean, like, would that be stopping your whole journey, or, what will be the experience?
I think it's not stopping, Carlos, but we have a hiccup, yes, correct, because this chip become the most important things for us to do the production. So the whole ecosystem depends on the supply. When the supply is like they have a problem or they have a shortage, yes, we have a problem on our production as well. It means going into market, we will have a hiccup as well. But we, as a company, that we have to tackle this as one of the problem that will continuously. This is not the first. I think it's a few times ago we have a shortage on the chipset as well. So one thing that we can do is try to have a stock more than usual, and then implementing our continuous stock planning. So there is, I don't think Indonesia in the short time will have like chip manufacturer in place in Indonesia. It will be hard because it will need a government to step in. Because
Yes.
for us to step into a chip maker, I think it's a bit hard because our market, Indonesian market, is not so huge. So if you have a how to tackle this chip shortage, so you cannot just implement, build a new factory in Indonesia for chip maker. No, cannot. So our plan is for long term it's being planned now, and then for mid and then a short term as well. So hopefully the chip problem, I don't know, nobody know about what the problem is actually for the chip storage shortage, sorry. But I think and I believe this will be end, let's say, by next year, hopefully.
Thank you, Pak.
Yeah, Pak Carlos, PT Kalbe Morinaga Indonesia is manufacturing and production for infant formula. We from the production on operation side, yeah. So this time is especially in the pandemic, there is so many new standard, strictly standard, especially physical distancing and others, yeah. This, of course, will affect it, influences how we work because of pandemic and physical distancing. So we must keep our operator and our staff to be held and then to be monitored every time. So of course, this will be changed how we manage our workforce and others also how we manage and take the data acquisition. So by this kind of technology that relevant for us for 4.0 technology also will help us to do this. So this is already here. We need to face it and learn it and go for it. I think so. So no choice.
Great inspiration as well. But can I probably ask you last questions? What would be your message, to companies that would like to get started or probably in the middle of process of their transformation journey, right? With regards to Industry 4.0, what would be your message to get them, cross the borders and then get out of the pilot traps, drawing from your experience? Yeah.
I think now with our government, Indonesia government, we have Cindy 4.0, Indi 4.0, and then PD 4.0. This is very nice approach and then help from government. So the government is helping us to do this kind of 4.0 technology to introduce us and then to guide us. And then also, I think we need to spread out and make it bigger, our connectivity and our join with the others stakeholders. This will be help us and so can work together to face this kind of new era, new thinking and new way.
Perfect.
Okay, from Polytron, I think is the best part to do is to put your priority first, because each company is different. Each company have their own problem. So if you in the transformation into Industry 4.0, you need to put your priority first. So which one you want to go first? Because you have to adjust every time in any industry. You have to adjust with condition. So now we have COVID condition, so we have to adjust with COVID condition. So the market going slow, and then the restriction from our government, social distancing, etc. So we have to adjust it. So because we need to respond fast on that. So either you postpone, either you modify, either you whatever you want to do, but you need to do something in the company. We cannot like staring, holding our head and do nothing, because our company, we need to push forward day by day. But the one thing that I can see from our point of view is our government, Indonesian government, has doing a great thing to make sure everything, vaccination, etc., is being taken care. So I think it's a thank you for that. So it help us on industry to put our head into our position. That's from me. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think something that we can recap, like, focus of the value, the pain points, the business problems that you are trying to solve, and then going into the people, the culture, then followed by the technology. And in the umbrella also, we have the government's supports and programs that are willing to actually, guide in terms of the actual implementations of Industry 4.0 transformations. Thank you again, Pak Yuda, Pak Joganto, and it's been a very great sharing. I think it's very, very insightful as well. And then we probably like to hear more questions as well, right, from the audience. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Over to you, James.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Carlos, Pak Yuda, and Pak Jujanto. Your conversations have helped to provide us with deeper insights on how two leading manufacturers in Indonesia have embraced Industry 4.0 to reap new value and face encountered challenges. So at this point, before we proceed with the next segment, we would like to ask our audiences a few quick questions to better understand your objectives for joining us today, and also your business's challenges in terms of adopting Industry 4.0. You should see a pop-up window in front of you now, so we invite you to share your thoughts with us, please. So while you do that, allow me to continue. Our next segment is a panel discussion that will take these perspectives to a larger countrywide level, discussing the topic how Industry 4.0 can offer real value add to manufacturing quality and efficiency. Our panel is led by moderator Pak Panji Wasmana, National Technology Officer at Microsoft Indonesia. He is joined by Pak Franky Christian, Director and CEO of PT Daya Cipta Mandiri Solusi and DKI Jakarta of Aptiknas, Mr. Chong Seong Chuang, District Sales Manager and Global Account Manager at Cognex, Mr. Wilson Deng, CEO of Arcstone, and Dr. Andika Prastawa, Director of the Center for the Assessment of Industrial Technology and Manufacturing, Telematic and Electronic at BPPT, Indonesia. I'm pleased to hand over proceedings over to you, Pak Panji.
Thank you so much, Jane, for having me on this panel. Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi, Bapak Ibu sekalian. This is an honor for me to become host for and also the moderator for this event. And allow me to say hello to all the esteemed speaker and also participant who are attending the panel discussion today. And allow me to set the context on this discussion today. So our topic is about how Industry 4.0 can offer real value add to the manufacturing quality and efficiency. And as we know, the Industry 4.0 is a holistic automation, business information, and a manufacturing execution architecture to improve industry with the integration of all aspect production and commerce across in-company boundaries for greater efficiency. And then also, just the context on this by the Minister of the Industry, and it's already coined in 2018 about the making Industry 4.0, which is we believe that in the next 12 years, we will be in the golden age of Indonesia, where we have the demographic bonus peak, right? And then the second one is, so we also identified that there are 10 key challenges across the industry. And there are the key points where we're talking about how weak we are in a midstream industry, and also must have digital infrastructure and limitation of the industry, domestic funding, and the technology adoption processes. So looking at that context, I would like to invite Pak Franky Christian, and I would like to bring the concept on the indi part. I believe that we are aware about the Indonesia Industry 4.0 Readiness Index, and based on the Minister of Industry report, in 2019, from the 706 industry, there are 22 companies stated in the level, above the level 3. So there's 4 levels, and then level 3 means that the company is ready and mature enough to starting and embrace the Industry 4.0, and level 4 is they already engaged with that. And then we see that from the previous presentation, Alex Fatal mentioning about the Schneider and also Petrosias, the one of the success lighthouse project. So Franky, from your point of view, what is the trend and the readiness of the adoption for Industry 4.0, and how concerned is the industry understanding the role of Industry 4.0 to improve efficiency and the product quality? That is your part, Franky, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Pak Panji. Thank you, everyone, for joining our event today. So can you show my slide, please? So talking about the trends, and I think one of the that we already see before, yeah, from Pak Eko and also from Mr. Alves, that in Indonesia, we already started this effort with the Making Indonesia 4.0 program, the national program that has been led by the Ministry of Industry. And in the April 2019, as the continuity of the Making Indonesia 4.0 program, the government has also established what we call the Indi 4.0. as Pak Panji mentioned before, that this INDI 4.0 is a assessment program that will help the companies, especially the manufacturing companies. Yeah, as you can see, one index with 5 pillars and 17 fields. Yeah, related to the what we call the readiness. Yeah, for implementing the industry revolution 4.0. So we also see in the there are 7 priority sectors. Yeah, at first in April 2018, the government state only 5 sectors. Yeah, food and beverage, textile, automotive, chemicals, and electronics. And then in the next year, 2019 and 2020, the government had also the focus on for the pharmacy and medical devices. So as you can see, this is the sectors that ready to implement, that we think ready to implement the related to ER4. Yeah. What the INDI 4.0 do? Yeah. The next slide, please. So we define the, I think the government will define the, already have the government assessment tools. Yeah, the government awareness socialization also being done. Yeah, with us also as an association, we work together to establish some socialization related to the INDI 4.0. And then there are also some work on the specific industry sector. And this will involve what we see before in the previous session that Pak Yuda and Pak Jugianto has been involved. Yeah, workshop related to the transformation in the training of trainer. And then there already has been selected some pilot for selected industry. As you can see, in 2019, there are 2 companies has been awarded as 2 lighthouse, and then in 2020 there are 13 companies. Yeah, these pilots are selected industry, and they do the assessment. Yeah, external technical expertise, recommendation action need to be done by the companies, and then to finalize, yeah, the implementation of the roadmap for industry. This include the business case preparation and how the presentation to the senior level management, because this is the key factor. Yeah, and then how to deployment. Yeah, related to the ER4 project in each companies. Yeah, and we do the, I think the monitoring and evaluation also involved in this part. Yeah, including the site visit and monthly review related, and also the evaluation. And the next step, as we know, we cannot do it together. Mr. Alpes also mentioned this before, and then we think this is the good step. In 2020, the government launched a new approach, what we call the INDI 4.0. The next slide. The INDI 4.0 will be the synergy, yeah, and collaboration between parties, yeah, as a key of the implementation of the Industry 4.0. This will be include this using the pentahelix approach, yeah, including the governments, industry players, association like us, academics, R&D institution, yeah, technology providers, consultants, and also the financial players, yeah, in order to accelerate the industry 4.0 transformation and process. As you can see, until now, there are some company has been selected and joining this program, and we will see to continue the updates about these programs. Yeah, we will also have related to this program on the August, yeah, 18 to 20 August. There will be some event related to the INDI 4.0. Yeah, I think that's the updates about what I can share, Pak Panji, at first. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Pak Frankie. It's very clear about the pentahelix and the multi-stakeholder concept. The strong framework is already in place. Now, it's talking about the execution is something that's quite interesting to talk about. And then next, I would like to invite Pak Chong Siong Chuang, District Sales Manager from the company Singapore. Pak Chong Siong, the question comes from the perspective on the quality perspective, right? So when we're talking about the industry 1.0, we're talking about the quality by introducing the self-inspection model, moving to 0.0, talking about the inspection, control, assurance, and also the industry standard. And then moving to 3.0, there are software for the QMS, improvement in the planning, and also the 4.0 is talking about the continuous quality, with the real-time data and IoT. So that's a breakthrough on the quality part, right? And then also we realized that from the previous speaker, the COVID-19 situation is actually really impacting the industry. And then that's kind of the need to move to the automation is kind of the necessity for industry. So our question to you is about how machine vision technology or your expertise in the technology part play a role for improving product quality and production efficiency. Pak Chong Siong, stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Panji. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Constella for this opportunity to participate in this event. So my name is Chong, and I'm the Senior Global Account Manager of Connect Singapore. So Pak Panji, can you go to the slides, please? So before we talk about how, first let's ask ourselves what drives these needs, right? The next one, please. Okay, so here are some of the key drivers that what make the manufacturing sector considering vision automation. The first one, the first point, as you can see today, as you know, product design are getting smaller and smaller. And this makes it difficult for operators to see or inspect other components needed, right? Secondly, more and more people are demanding goods quality products. For example, smartphones, luxury cars, and etc. So manufacturers need to ensure that the product that they are manufactured are in excellent shape and functions. Thirdly, traceability. As you know, manufacturers want to be able to trace their product when something goes wrong, or to fight against counterfeit product circulating in the market, right? The next one is high-speed production, right? As it is humanly impossible to check for defects and maintain quality of products if it's flying on the conveyor. So the next one will be increasing in labor cost. For example, labor costs in USA, Europe, and recently China is considered high comparing to other regions. This may not happen in our region in the near future, but with the recent pandemic, that brings us to the point number 6, right? We have all witnessed the scale of what coronavirus and other similar pandemic in the future can do to all manufacturing sector, including developing country in our region in ASEAN. So this forced all the manufacturing activities to halt or partially operational. Hence, company losing monies and forced to shut down businesses or losing out in a high revenue opportunity. For example, we are seeing like during this pandemic situation, F&B, consumer product, and pharmaceutical industry is riding on the wave of growth during this pandemic, where people buying more things and food for home consumption. Right. Next, please. So now to answer how, here at Conex, we specialize in developing vision software to analyze image that is captured by a camera. And I can assure you that we have the most experience when it comes to providing solution on your vision automation requirement, because we have been doing this for the past 40 years and continue to do so up to today. Let's look at what is machine vision, right? So basically, human can use our eyes to look at an object, and our brain will process it and make sense of what we see. Machine vision, on the other hand, is not so different after all. Instead, the optics and sensor will capture objects in a form of digital image. The processor will, which is built in the camera, act as the brain to process, and the software will analyze the image and make sense out of it. So now, with Connect's latest software technology using deep learning, in other words, AI, artificial intelligence, right, as you know, Connect's deep learning software will be able to analyze the image capture as well as a human can, but with better consistency and speed. On top of that, all of our vision systems come with the Ready Industrial 4.0 that is able to capture real-time data of your manufacturing process to your cloud-based or any server that you have in the factory. So that is how Connect's vision solution able to help manufacturer improve product quality and productivity towards Industrial 4.0.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pak Chang, for the explanation. And I would like to highlight on the clarity that market demand and also the labor costs drive strong adoption in this advanced technology. Thank you so much, Pak. And I think I would like to move to Pak Wilson from the Artstone. Pak Wilson, I think we are all quite familiar with the smart factory efficiency framework, right? We are talking about the cognitive load, we're talking about the human cognitive efficiency, we're talking about overall equipment effectiveness, right? And then the question to you is about how the manufacturing execution system solution helping the industry to get better visibility on their operation and achieve better efficiency, Pak. Collaboration and maybe some of the technology part it's become the movement for this smart factory efficiency framework. So again, I would like to hear about your view on this kind of this statement, Pak. Pak Wilson, stage is yours.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Pak. I think that when we talk about digitalization, especially the MES of a manufacturing shop floor, it is a very complex process. There's a huge amount of variability and particular pain points that folks are tackling. Everything from maintenance, calibration, safety, quality control, digital workflows. There's a lot that needs to be maintained. So instead of trying to go into a very broad view, let's narrow it down to something I think that a lot of people have been working on for quite a while, which is overall equipment effectiveness, OEE. And let's look at how an MES would tackle something in the OEE space, which is not just a matter of looking at one area, because OEE, most people understand. It's a calculation that gives you an overall effectiveness number of how all your machines or equipment are doing. But looking at a number every day doesn't change anything. Looking at a number and taking no actions with no ability to make improvements doesn't help either. So this is why it's very important that we take a look at a much more in-depth view of what is the responsibility of an MES to handle in order to use OEE effectively. So if we could pull up our slides and move up to slide number 3 specifically. I'll give a little bit of details here in slide number 3. Next slide. Thank you so much. So in these 3 sections, this is kind of where, when we look at an MES, these are the responsibilities that needs to be maintained. So OEE, as we mentioned, is a calculation of availability, performance, and quality, APQ. However, when we need to actually pull the data to actually measure this, this starts on the left-hand side, which is really around connectivity to the physical equipment. So when we're talking about machines that have a controller that can send data, that's wonderful. That's connecting straight to the PLC and pulling information from equipment. But I think we all know now that given the environment that we are in manufacturing, you have machines that are 30, 40 years old in your factory that has no data whatsoever. You have machines that just came in yesterday that you just bought brand new and it has wonderful data availability that comes in. And that's great. But then that's about adding in sensorization. And I think the Cognix team has one ability to actually pull in a very intelligent way of connecting information from vision systems. And that would be one. Others is vibration, current sensors, temperature sensors, et cetera, that can be used as well to extract information from the machine so that it allows me to know if the machine is on or off, producing good parts or bad parts, and how much I'm scrapping. These are things that is important to actually pull in. And that's the first responsibility in terms of OEE calculations from an MES standpoint. The second one to understand, the one in the very middle, is that people tend to forget sometimes that OEE itself is not always a fully efficient method of pulling the machine data alone. Depending on how advanced the machine is, there's still information that's going to require a manual input or a manual configuration associated with it. So this means that, for example, when you have equipment that sends back a error log and says error log 95, saying the machine stopped. But in actuality, the real reason why it stopped is not error code 95. It could actually be that it ran out of raw material, or maybe one of the rollers jammed, or maybe one of the motors overheated. All of these things may not necessarily be known to the actual machine. And all that the machine is telling you and reporting back is error code 95, which has almost zero value. So when you go and actually look at your OEE calculations, yes, you'll know that your OEE is very low, but then what does that mean in terms of going around making an improvement? We have to properly tag that particular down code. So making sure that there is a manual interface, a manual tool for operators, maintenance crews, calibration crews to be using to assess the information coming from the machine and to properly calibrate and label what was the down reason or the issue that has occurred with the machine helps us improve the OEE process over time. And it also provides for transparency of the work that is performed by manual operators. Is a particular team that goes and does maintenance on the machine, do we see a longer time between the failure compared to another team? And if so, how do we pass that knowledge from one team to the other? This is something that most of the time folks tend to forget, because when they're pushing very heavily on an OEE calculation, it's just trying to get the OEE calculation to be done. But that's only the first level. The second level of that, to be able to operate on that data, is a critical factor. And so that's why manual data, when we talk about an MES, is something that we cannot ignore. Although we want to have a dream of seeing everything fully digitalized and the whole factory where there's no one inside and it's all perfectly running with lights out, it's unlikely to happen tomorrow. It's unlikely to happen in the next couple of years. So we will need to still maximize that value by bridging two pieces of information: sensor machine data and also manual input and worker data. So that way we have a full end-to-end visibility of that process. Now, last but not least is that in an organization, we're not just talking about machines and people alone. There are other systems that you are already running as well. And the connectivity of an OEE calculation that is not properly linked with the rest of the organization's systems will have inefficiencies. It will have issues that will come up. So for example, when we look into an ERP system that you may be running, an accounting system, a warehouse management system, a spare parts management system, a long multitude of different software solutions you may be already running, the connectivity and the integration with these tools is becoming quite important. For example, even though you have data coming from a machine and someone keying in that, hey, there's a particular problem, if it's not synced with, for instance, your spare parts inventory tool set to be able to know if you have the parts available to actually replace, again, it doesn't necessarily help improve your OEE. The machine will just be down. You don't have the part available to actually fix the machine. Your OEE will continue to be very poor. So that integration process is just one avenue. So for instance, if the machine goes down and the job cannot run anymore, you need to send a signal back to your SAP or Oracle or other ERP system to inform that this job is now delayed. And do we need to send a message to the customer to let them know that there might be a delay, and just early notification so that we can maintain that relationship between the customer and the manufacturer in this case. Those are things where solutions integration is a very critical part. It helps bridge and link together all of these information coming in. Without it, you will have another intermediary person that has to do this job, which is very inefficient. So integration becomes the next big thing that is quite critical to look into in order to have just a simple concept of OEE being truly mapped organization by looking into these three areas and really stretching the value that you get from an APQ calculation into something that truly provides improvements in quality, improvements in integration, improvements in overall the equipment uptime and profitability as well. So this is where how complex something can run, but it starts as a very simple concept of just looking at OEE. So the responsibilities of MES are quite significant. And this is why when we work together with manufacturers, it's important to think through the strategy. Just being able to say we have OEE value is not enough. That's not necessarily a good way to begin your process of investment into this space. It's about talking about all these things. What should we do once we get the OEE values? And how do we interpret the OEE values and bring more value out of them? That's where the successful implementations come from.
Thank you so much, Pak Wilson. It's a very interesting discussion on the challenge and adaptation in the brownfield, where you're talking about the age of the machine and the readiness to connect with all the initiative in Industry 4.0. And also I highlight your point that the OEE is not just only the parameter, and then the transparency from the work processes on how to integrate between the sensor, machine data, worker data, and the ERP system is a key part of the strategy to building the right value from the manufacturing execution system. Thank you so much, Pak Wilson, for your explanation. So I think I would like to move to Pak Dr. Andika. Selamat pagi, Pak Andika. Terima kasih for joining with us. And I think I would like to wrap up everything in this discussion with you, Pak Andika. You see that from the Pak Frankie, they mentioned about the indi, and then talking about what is the framework provided in here, how this multi-stakeholder participant is already in place. And then also you see from the Pak Chong, he mentioned about the capability from the technology like the AI for the visual recognition capability. And then Pak Wilson also mentioned about the capability from the manufacturing execution system to accelerate the quality and also the efficiency from the industry. So question to Pak Andika to wrap up also in this session, Pak. understand that the making industry 4.0 also create kind of the immediate action. One of it is talking about the R&D and capex tax exemption, and also some of the lighthouse projects already in place. So what is your view regarding open innovation platform, and also how it can be collaborated with all these gentlemen in this call, and how it will be impacting on the industry 4.0 adoption? And some of the other speakers also talking about the skilling programs, the capability, and the smart manufacturing implementation. So would like to hear about that, Pa, and also if we also intriguing about the strategy, the national strategy for the AI, whether this is also relevant for this industry 4.0 domain. Over to you, Pa Andika.
Thank you, Pak Panji. Selamat pagi semuanya. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk in this very distinguished forum. And can I have my slide, please? I think I'm going to respond in a general manner for this all the Pak Panji question, and then I think we will discuss later on for the detail. Next, please. So next, yes. So we have heard about all the explanation of the previous speaker. So I think there are, I think, three things or three components that could ensure that Industry 4.0 can give a real added value. The first is about the innovation. So industrial revolution is include the technology-based product and also the innovation. And then this is quite a disruptive technology to today's situation, and then it is also give more opportunity and more benefit than before. And the second is about the digital connectivity. So I think many of the gentlemen speakers this morning also talked about Internet of Things, AI, and also the big data and kind of things. So this digital connectivity and automation is also the important things in the supporting the Industry 4.0 itself. And also the next one is about the innovation. Well, of course, the human resources play the central role in this all the activity of Industry 4.0, but without innovation, so the technologies cannot be developed, and also the process of the industries cannot be developed in a better way. Also, the product also cannot be produced in the most efficient way, and also the high quality standard. So it's needs an innovation, and in this era, innovation cannot be a closed innovation. It's supposed to be an open innovation, because also this is driven by the Industry 4.0 way of thinking. So there are three things: innovation itself, the digital connectivity that needs the digital talent as well, and also the open innovation as the framework to produce a better product or better technology. Next slide, please. In this slide, I'd like to show about how the circle about the technology innovation, Industry 4.0, and social innovation. So it is clear that innovation is and also technology innovation is the backbone as well for the Industry 4.0, because without this innovation, then all the enhancement or development of technology 4.0 cannot be done appropriately, and not only for the development, but also to ensure the industrial sustainability. We need time to time have innovation between the technology and also social innovation, and improving the Industry 4.0's process, and this will provide the sustainable industries. Next. if we talk about the open innovation, what is actually open innovation? Open innovation or innovation 4.0 actually a platform of innovation among the players in technology producer and also the technology users. But in this platform, it's supposed to be a stronger mutual trust and collaboration. And in this, then in order to accelerate the innovation to market process. And the innovation of 4.0 is identified by that this is market driven, not for the sake of the research, but also it's based on the market driven. It can use internal technology based or external technology based. This has already been also mentioned by Pak Funky. Yeah? It's also can provide the license, spin out of the product and so on. And also it can be also, external technology resource insourcing. So open innovation, it is not innovation that just produced by one single entity, but the single entity can and have to work together with other single entity to do the innovation. Next, please. And this what Pak Pangki has said as well, that the innovation platform of Pentahelix. So we have 5 actors here: the government, business and industries, media, communities, and academicians. So all the actors has its own role. For example, the government could provide the incentive or make easy for the regulation, permits, and so on, and this will facilitate the academician to provide innovation, and also can be easier to what you call it, downstreaming to the industries, and also media will play a role for make a publication and also to put in public to inform about the product. So I think that's about open innovation, Pak Panji. I think I haven't addressed several of your questions, but we can continue for the discussion, particularly for the national strategy of artificial intelligence and so on, and in relation with the Industry 4.0 development in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Andika. It's quite intriguing, especially in the Open Innovation 4.0 platform. The notes is about the multi-stakeholder. I'm just wondering that Pak Chong and Pak Wilson is in here, and then there's a potential collaboration in this platform. So they are kind of empowering each other and then put the best effort to build the Industry 4.0 implementation in Indonesia. Again, the indi indicator is a kind of our measurement, and hopefully in the next future years when we met again, there are significant numbers of the industries already on the level 3 and level 4. And of course, we will meet with Pak Chong and also Pak Wilson is a part of the contributor from the technology part. Again, thank you so much for participation for all distinguished speakers. Thank you so much, Pak. And then I'll offer back to you, Jane. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pak Panji, Pak Funky, Seong Chuang, Wilson, and Dr. Andika for the very useful discussion. Before we move on to our next segment, we have a quick question again for our audiences on the top 3 priorities in the next 6 to 9 months facing your businesses. Again, you should see a pop-up window, and we'll appreciate it if you could share your responses, please. So while you do that, at this point in our program, we will break into 3 separate Zoom sessions. They are Breakout 1, where we will have a panel of speakers focusing on the food manufacturing sector. Breakout 2 will focus on electronics and electrical manufacturing. And Breakout 3 will focus on medtech and pharmaceuticals manufacturing. If you wish to join Breakout 1, please stay here in this session and do not click on anything. For Breakout 2 and 3, please join the separate rooms by clicking on the relevant link provided in the chat, please. Please allow for a few minutes as attendees leave this Zoom meeting to join the other rooms. Okay, welcome here to the breakout room 1. This is where we will be discussing Industry 4.0 and its value for Indonesia's food manufacturing sector. Audience questions are welcome, so please submit them using the Q&A function on your screen, please. Leading the discussion here is Mr. Alexander Grimm, Head of Vertical Management at F&B Industry ASEAN at Siemens. As a quick introduction, Mr. Alex As a quick introduction, Alex has been with Siemens since 2011. Since 2017, he has been head for food and beverage industry in ASEAN. He has also spoken on food and beverage related topics in ASEAN and authored several professional articles. Alex, I'm happy to hand proceedings over to you. Perhaps you can begin with a quick introduction of the panelists, followed by a few overarching remarks to set the context for the discussions, please.
Sure. Thank you very much, Jane. And ya, selamat pagi dan selamat datang Bu dan Pak di diskusi panel untuk makanan dan minuman industri. I will proceed now in English, and I'm really happy to be here with my dear colleagues and panelists. I want to welcome Bu Kevin from PT Indofood. I want to welcome Pa Darmanto from PT Greenfields, Pa Samuel from Org Industries, Pa Yuda from PT Kalbe Morinaga, and last but not least, Pa Ivan. He is from the Indonesian Food and Beverage Entrepreneurs Association. So really looking forward to have half an hour, maybe some minutes more, to discuss with you. I'm from Siemens. I'm based here in Singapore. And as we from Siemens are engaging with electrification, automation, but also this entire portfolio when it comes to digitalization, like artificial intelligence, blockchain, or edge computing. And visiting, at the moment more virtually than real, but also visiting a lot of food and beverage customers in Indonesia, knowing that Indonesia has a great and long-term culture when it comes to food. And also realizing that Indonesia is the fourth biggest population worldwide, distributed over 17,000 islands. I really think it's worthy and it's really also necessary to talk about how the food and beverage industry can benefit and take advantage from all these movements which are going on in the digitalization arena to bring the food and beverage manufacturing in Indonesia into the future. And therefore, I want to start the discussion with Pa Darmanto. Pa Darmanto, I know you have over 20 years experience in the dairy industry. And I also see that the dairy industry is changing a lot. I still remember my childhood. I grown up in Germany in a small village, and dairy industry was that my mother sent me with a milk can to the farmer, and I bought there 3 liters of milk. Today, if I see the shelves, there are so many varieties. There are so many product sizes. I see more and more products. And I know you also been leading innovation in dairy products within PT Greenfields. So it would be really now very interesting for me to really hear from you also how you react in the production, how you react at PT Greenfields on this changing consumer behavior.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Yeah, it is really true with the Indonesia background, with different island, different culture. We are facing into different customer requirement, and of course now the new trend. It is all is about the customization people want to be treated as a personal. They have a different preference, and as an industry, we need to also following the trend. But this also give us a challenging, because in the industry we are to be a most efficient. We should run in the bigger batch with a continuous product with the same products. Every change, every additional of SKU will increase the complexity of the system. Then this also lead us in inefficiency in the operation. But this is something that we need to tackle, because it's the consumer demand. We're also facing with a new generation, the millennial, that is changing the behavior and the preference. We can see also the product life cycle become shorter and shorter. So we need to keep launch the new product that suits to the new consumer, and we'll still maintaining also the existing SKU that is we have. So to tackle this demand things, we need to have an innovation, but this is one thing for sure. But we also need to have a system that is we can keep the production to be efficient, and also maintaining the quality with this whole complexity. And this, I think, the industrial 4.0 become important when we have the system to do the all traceability. We have a and without any also reducing the mistake with all the manual process. Yeah, and I think it is important also that is the new generation that we are facing now is a millennial, that they are savvy with the technology. And I agree with Pak Yuda and the previous session that talk about this. The manpower is important, but also I have a different view that Paxel also mentioned, that is implementation is actually the iteration. If we don't start and we still use the old way, we cannot attract the new talent that is the millennial, that they will be savvy of technology. So then our employees also our marketing, all they will be talk with a friend, and this will be also good for us. So I think no best time to implement. The best time is we should implement as soon as for this the digitalization. Yeah, I think that's from me. Alex, thank you.
Terima kasih, Pak Yamanto. And thank you also very much for highlighting and putting people in the center, because I think this is something which is sometimes forgotten when we talk about all these technologies. And I think in the food and beverage industry, this is something which is very obviously, because we as the persons, we are the consumers, and we take the decision if we do it via e-commerce or if we stand at the supermarket and we choose what product we want to have. And you're right, the complexity is getting higher and higher. But at the end, this complexity needs to be also handled by us. And I think one very good example is always what we do with all these smart devices. They are smart, they're handling a lot of complex things, but they handle this in a very, very easy way for us. And I think not only iPhone, also all the other smartphones, they even don't have a manual anymore because they are intuitive. And I think this is an important part, that we're not doing digitalization because of the digitalization. There must be an advantage. And therefore, I also want to welcome Pa Samuel, from Org Industry. So Samuel, you've been a management consultant before, and now you are CEO and co-founder of the startup Org Industries. Mm-hmm. And I know you're dealing also with a lot of technology. You making considerations about setting up networks and also how to handle data. So my question to you is how you would describe the ideal ecosystem to manage all this data and to take advantage of all this data in the food and beverage industry.
Thank you for the introduction. So maybe just a quick explanation. I'm a co-founder of Org Industry, which is an industrial IoT company. So what we do is we build and we deploy Fitbit for machines, right? So they are IoT devices that measures the steps, the heart rate, and the sleeping pattern of machines. Right. So and that's probably just the starting point. I think I love the analogy you use, Alex, about iPhone having no more manuals. In fact, that is also our goal. I think like the earlier session pointed out very importantly, right? There's the business, there's the technology, and there's the people, right? And all these three must come together. And I think we strive as far as possible to bring data at IoT level, not just as data, just acquiring it and showing on the screen. I think that is only technology, like pure technology, at a very low level technology, right? What really needs to be done is then to pull it to the business value level, right? So then you can tell how the business is performing. And that is a step that a lot of systems, a lot of company, a lot of clients that we see that struggle with. But even beyond the second step of a business, the third step is the people, how to win the heart and mind. So I think in short, I think these are three very important considerations. And to your point about ecosystem, I think long gone are the days, no offense, Alex, but no longer is the days where Siemens does everything, right? Siemens is a very big player, you still are very big. But now there's a lot more different kind of flavors and styles. Just like you look into iOS, how many apps they have, how many on Androids. So I think when people select a solution and select a technology stack, you also have to think about future proving, right? And how solution can work together. Like in the earlier session, Connects bring together a solution that is very powerful in terms of machine vision, right? And how you bring that together with the IoTs, for example, or from the vibration predictive maintenance, and how you can bring them together. That's a very important consideration. So I think of industry, we're pretty young. I think as an early stage high growth startup, I think we are doing quite well. We have 2,000 machines deployed, mostly in Singapore, Southeast Asia. But constantly we think about how we can collaborate with others. One of the most important things is finding APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Basically allows software and software to integrate and to talk to each other. And I think that's how 1 + 1 becomes more than 2. And that's something I invite everyone to think about hard. Yep.
Thank you very much, Samuel. And no I think you hit some really interesting points. The interesting point is how to turn data into value. Because today, collecting data, this is not a rocket science anymore. We have so much data available, actually sometimes too much data. But we need to put them in relation. We need to make them visible and usable for us. And I think this is the important thing. And therefore, the other good topic what you mentioned, yes, I'm from Siemens, but I see me here more as a neutral person. But nevertheless, speaking about these big technology providers, definitely the times of closed boxes is over. It is not anymore that we have a telephone, which is a closed box, we plug into the wall and we can only do phone calls. It is about having the right platform, coming again to here our lovely smartphones.
Correct.
And the platform should be future-proof, definitely, because there is no a new operating system every year. There is iOS, there's Android, and basically that's it. But these are open platforms. And these open platforms we need for especially, and yes, I think, Samuel, you are one of the younger guys here in our round, but we need guys like you who are innovative, who also take the risk and develop such really fancy, cool applications. But we also need to set up this platform for you, that you have this environment to bring in all these super cool things you can do with artificial intelligence and turn data into value. So really, really great.
Correct. It's a very exciting time indeed. We see a lot of collaboration, there's a lot of partnership ongoing. So really think about that. Don't just look at one solution, but look at a whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's really about the ecosystem that it works, and this is not in a hierarchy anymore. And therefore, also really the improvement and the innovation needs to be set up in a culture. And Payuda, I know you've been also in a very interesting session just some minutes before. So really great to have you here again in this session. Great to have somebody from Kalbe Morinaga here. And I know you really also put a big focus on setting up an improvement and innovation culture to introduce in Industry 4.0. So it would be also great to hear from your standpoint here in this session, how, in your opinion, this roadmap is looking like to really bring a culture within an organization, within a company, towards these future developments.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Alec. I will try to explain an example briefly how we do journey for 4.0 as a new technology. First, I think you need to focus on knowing your company need. We call it this is a pain point. So also we need to understand again that your people are important part of transformation journey. Now also to respond to the business situation with high uncertainty, we require speed, agility, and toughness. Industry 4.0 development is depend business process. Depends what area do you want to improve or innovate. This is your pain point. After that, we see available technology that can help our business. We create in Kalbe Morenega, we create our smart factory concept. Start to develop production system, set challenging target, and in the next step, we create integrated supply chain, and in the future, we will develop global supply chain. Yes, of course, you can utilize technology as enabler and accelerator, but technology not the objective. Just looking for relevant technology solution then that can help your company. Not all technology is suitable for you, I'm sure. For Kalbe Morenega Indonesia, there was basically to maintain activity. First, people. We create digital culture and attitude to create digital champion for employee. How to involve through current technology, how to empower the people, the employee with future technology, and also by digital champion, how to empower our employee to think systematic, creative, complex, in practical by doing 4.0 project by themselves, and also create employee or people mentality to ready for changing or disruption. In our understanding, as I said before, technology can be changing very fast. What we implement today will be not maybe relevant for near future. How to anticipate this situation? We need people or employee that can respond this changing. Focus to create solution based on available technology in market. We have digital competency development program also for employee to increase their skill and capability. We train all employee for digital literacy, data reading, data analysis, even how to handle gadget or wearable device. We also have digital champion program. We selected employee who have interested in digital tools. They are not from IT or engineering person, but actually they are mostly operator or administration staff. We train them, and after that, they can develop digital project in their process. By doing 4.0, they may make a trial and error. Even they will fail in some project, but they will learn new digital skill, learn creative thinking, complex thinking, hard skill and soft skill. And the good point, company can create the best employee. And then the second one, by automation and 4.0 project, to accelerate agile operation by integration of our vertical or horizontal business process. Automation, we used to eliminate manual and analog processing. By doing automation, non-value added process, repetitive and administration will be eliminated. At the same time, every process can produce digital data. This data we can monitor in real time. If needed, also we can create a lot of feedback system if there is abnormality in process. So basically we're shifting from analog to digital data. This data can be collected to centralized data warehouse. we can also utilize as analytic activity. So how we started the project? First, you need to, maybe you can try to start creating pilot project to learn. We always do pilot or model project to implement all new things in Kalbe Morinaga. Start small, step by step. 4.0 project start from company need. What is the pain point? Start small to create immediate impact. Maybe not big impact yet, to show the progress. And the important thing also to increase people confidence. And then you can deliver immediate impact. For instance, instead we buy the system from supplier, sometimes our employee decided to create by themselves. After 4.0 training, such as IoT, microcontroller, etc., they confident. It shows that employee can adapt fast to know the pain point, able to create, for example, real-time monitoring using microcontroller or Raspberry or something like that. And then they can they connect it to open source business intelligence or BI software such as Grafana. This, of course, will deliver immediate impact to business, I think. So also by creating new employee capability by 4.0 project, also we create better way of thinking to build automation pyramid. We increase people capability by doing project. We also create automation pyramid to identify the horizontal and vertical integration, how we connect company business. This one also as a blueprint. So digital champion have guidance, what pain point should be eliminated or reduced, what technology should be used. This is very important. Even some project is top down in company scale, but most the project also bottom up. So our digital champion have reference, and every project can integrate it. The apps can communicate each other. Data also can be stored in centralized data warehouse. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Yuda. This is exactly also hitting the nail. So you also talk a lot about the changing in the employees, the changing of the knowledge, what they need to have. And yes, I think it really also needs employers like you who are also investing not only in technology, but also investing in the people. And like you said, you give them the right trainings and you also encourage them with having these digital champions and so on. So I think this is really the right way, because what we are now, this is a journey. This is not something where you say, okay, you buy from Siemens or from somewhere else. You buy 2 or 3 products and then you are 100% digital. No, it is really a journey where you also have to take the people with you. And you also mentioned the automation pyramid. I know for the time being, yes, we are still thinking in our pyramids. I even would go some steps further and say that we are also transferring this pyramid into a network. And the good thing is, if we look to industrial automation, industrial digitalization, we can always have a look into our consumer home electronics market, because they are mostly a step ahead. And if we look at these devices like our smartphone, our smart TV, our smart home, or whatever we have there, there is also no pyramid anymore. They are in a network and exchanging this data. And then, yes, analyzing. You also mentioned the topic of analyzing, and this is also important, that we are able to analyze this data. So, for example, of course, my smartphone takes track about how many steps I'm doing per day. And then another app can calculate how many calories I can eat without gaining weight. So this is turning data into value and also creating this trust, what you mentioned, Pak Yudo. I think this is also a very important point, building up the confidence and trust on the employer side, on the employee side, and also on the consumer side. Looking into new topics like e-commerce, which will come in food and beverage, looking into trustability, sustainability. I mentioned blockchain in the beginning, which is one of the technologies. Yes, this can help there. And I think this is a very, very important point, to take all them with us and not only think about technology. And therefore, I also want to welcome now Book Heaven from PT NutriFood. I think most really know PT NutriFood because they have the big brands like Tropicana Slim or Hilo. And Karen, you are head of digital transformation, and you are also head of R&D, which I think is a very interesting combination, because R&D in food and beverage in the past also been a quite conservative topic. It's more or less like, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more or less like working in a laboratory kitchen and creating new products. I think this also changed dramatically because one year in the round also mentioned the shortened life cycles we have. And this also requires this transformation. So Buchanan, it would be great if you can share out of your great experience some of your key findings within this transformation.
Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Okay, thank you. It is regarding the transformation, and then also what we do actually in the food and beverages company. It's actually the core of every strategy in the business is to fulfill our customer needs. Also, Alex, in the first opening remarks, he already talked about the need of the agility and then also the customer centricity. And then, yes, you're correct, Alex, that you said that especially in food and beverages industry, there is a lot of regulation now is appearing. Let's say it's the compliance, the increasing understanding of the customer regarding the allergens. Also, there is a nutrient need, the plant-based nutrient is also now appearing. So I think it's a very important to have a good strategy, and especially having this digital transformation in our manufacturing side to integrate also with our product lifecycle management, and then also our marketing, and then also with our sales and distribution. I think it's a very important to have a good strategy out of it. So it's actually since we already start thinking about this digital transformation is since the 2015, that's the first smart manufacturing project is asked by our CEO, because he is a very visionary person, knowing that the emerging in the internet technology, also the sensor technology, and then also increasing in artificial intelligence, that also make we need to think ahead about what strategy that we need to be aligned with the technology. Also the most important, as Payuda also said, and also in the other session, the other speaker is also talking about the importance of having the people ready, because it's how our strategy is how to have like the high technology, but with the human with the human touch, I said, because you know, having the technology, it's actually easy if you have the budget. If the company has a budget, it's easy to have the technology, but to implement it and then to make sure that the technology will be sustained, this is another thing, because how you have to prepare the people, and how you also need to make sure that your business process is relevant with the technology that will be applied, and then also how to really make all things work, and also how to make all is connected. I think the presentation from Alex at the opening remark is correct, because our aim is how to make this organization become agile, and then having the customer centricity become something that is important. So I think this is what we are doing. It's not always, we not always need something expensive in terms of the technology, because if you apply a full system technology without knowing what is this, you will become a problem with you. But then, and I also agree with what Alex said, that is having the right platform is important. And then also in the previous session, it's already said that about regarding the helix and the matrix, about how we then have to collaborate with the government, with the university, with the tech provider, also with the university. And this is how we create the chain to work together to enable the implementation of the technology. I think it's just very important to know what is what we want to do. So the aim is, again, the customer focus, and then special in the food and beverages. Another thing regarding the more shelf life that is important, also the food safety is also important. It's not only the food quality, but also the food safety is something very important. So regarding the food safety, the traceability system, we need to also take care of that, because also now the government regulation is become very strict regarding that. And then also, I think the last thing is about being eco-efficiency. It's also important, because regarding now, we are as a business, NutriFood, we are not only thinking about serving our customer, but we want to serve our customer in the right way, and then also to make this planet to be sustainable, because sometimes the packaging, and then the trust for the packaging, and then also the product that we have to consume, we have to make sure that the quality is good, but also not become another problem for the planet. I think that's what I can share regarding the digital transformation and the strategy and what we are doing.
Hi, Sam here. Maybe just to chip in on the eco, I think we definitely agree with that. Increasingly, more and more of our customers are connecting to energy, to yield, to waste, to emissions, etc. It's definitely a very big thing that I think everyone is also looking at.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this comment, and then also really thank you very much, Karen, for your really good points. And again, it's really about the people. It's not about putting in one single technology. It is really a journey. This is also something what we learned as a big technology provider, that it's not about placing products anymore. It's really about collaboration, co-creation. And this is also what you mentioned, Samuel. The time of closed boxes is over. It's about open ecosystems. It's about collaborating and co-creating and thinking in roadmaps, thinking really on this journey. This is also very, very important for all the technology suppliers. And bringing another facet to this discussion, I'm also really happy to welcome Pak Iwan from the Indonesian Food and Beverage Entrepreneurs Association. And I know, Pak Iwan, you completed your doctoral program in management science, and you also established even your own business in the food and beverage sector. But I'm also a little bit more interested about the other side of all the food and beverage development within Indonesia. I know we talk about deforestation. We talk about still not so sufficient supply chains. And we also want to talk about how to integrate parties like local farmers. So I really be happy to hand now over to you, Pak Iwan, that you can give us also a little bit another view on the Indonesian food and beverage market.
Thank you, Alex. In the association, all the entrepreneurs there, they are doing the upstream, collecting the user experience, and build their main midstream by building the automation, the good management with the technology. But in the downstream, government also encouraged to spread the land. We already to farmer 12 million hectares as a social forest, and already give the paper to the farmers. And we found also in the supply side, we found a food loss in Indonesia is a 40% loss because not enough midstream processors. While the entrepreneurs is focusing in the upstream only collecting user experience with their brand, and building automation in the midstream with a good management, good equipment, do efficiency. But in the downstream, we have a data, a balance of trade of our food ingredient still deficit, while we have a 40% food loss with unutilized 12 million hectares land with excellent weather. We are a tropical country. I think with the digital transformation, we encourage the brand owner, the upstream, all the members in the association to aggregate and inclusive to make it the food and beverage more sustainable. Because if we just collecting the user experience by bringing in the import ingredients, I think you already found in the Suez Channel in trouble. We also stuck in the ingredient as well, Alex. That's my point I bring in the national level. So we still have two issues, food loss and the unutilized social forest. That's all, Alex, from association. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Pak Ivan, and really thank you very much for also bringing this up, because talking about all the fancy technology, there needs to be a benefit. How we can attract these big pain points like 40% food loss. This is a big value what we are throwing away, and this is something which needs to be addressed. And you also talked about the governmental involvement, and I think this is very important. We have in this ecosystem, for sure, we have technology providers like I'm coming from. We have big food and beverage manufacturers, where also here Karen, Payuda, Patamanto is coming from. But there are also some challenges. And food and beverage, I think, is an essential global topic, where there are also topics where we need to be united as a global citizenship, but also on a country level. And I'm really also happy to see that the Indonesian government, with initiatives like Indonesia 4.0, somebody also before mentioned this indi 4.0 assessments. So I also joined some of them. So it's really interesting how much you can get out of this to see where are you now, where you want to go. And I know that the Indonesian government, the Indonesian Ministry of Industry, they are also highly engaged in this. And this is really great to see. And it's also great to see, looking at our round here, that there are so many good ideas bringing up this ecosystem. So to sum it up, don't forget about the people. Don't forget about the consumers. They are at the end the people who paying us all. And actually it's also ourselves. And a good thing for food and beverage is we are all consumers as well. So we also really can think about ourselves. What are our needs? What are our requirements? They are for sure the employees. And if we go on a digital journey, I think it's really important to make a clear statement. Nobody is losing their job because of digitalization. If we look in the automotive industry, which is highly digital, which is highly automated, they are still very big employers. So it's not that the automotive industry has no employers anymore. But I think the job profiles change. And actually our job profiles become much more interesting. Also, somebody mentioned repetitive works. I don't think anybody is super happy with just putting one box from one place to the other place all the day. I think we can create much more interesting, much more valuable jobs, and not only bringing value to the products, but also bring really value to the employees. And putting people in the center, and this I think is again what all these smart devices do so well. They put the people in the center, not the hardware. It's putting me in the center, how I operate. I don't have to follow a keyboard anymore. I just follow it intuitive. And therefore, I really just want to engage everybody here. Put the people in the center and then build the technology around. Think in the ecosystem, don't think about single products, think about networks, think about the big picture. And with that, I want to say really terima kasih to you all, and back to you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Alex, Pak Iwan, Pak Darmanto, Ibu Karen, Pak Yuda, and Samuel for your insights and experiences. I'm sure the audiences have learned a lot. So ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of Voice of the Market Indonesia Industry 4.0 Forum. Thank you so much for your support, and we hope you have found today's forum insightful and useful. Your overall feedback on today's forum would be greatly appreciated, and we invite you to complete the satisfaction poll, please. If you wish to review today's session, a recording will be made available on our event website soon, so please feel free to re-watch and share it with your network. Thank you all again for your support, and we look forward to seeing you at ITAP 2021 in November. Goodbye.
Recording stopped.